SI 3.1 roles and legitimacy plus 3.3 cultures. Let's talk about the role of democratic culture at the end of the 20th century in Venezuela and how it made the caudillism grow back. How a country with the highest tradition of democracy on the continent is able to bring it back to even medieval states of culture? How is possible that Venezuelan civil society, so active right now to fight for democracy establishment, let their institutions were falling back on the first place? Nobody was able to foresee the consequences of each of these government measures. Were everybody so naive? Reality is very more complex, and there's a lot of investigation books will be written about this, but what we know is that the deception mood with a traditional leadership was a setup for a highly charismatic character, as Hugo Chavez said on the stage. Let's talk about Carlos Andrés Pérez, which was one of the most important on the Venezuelan political arena in the late 20th century. His first government was in the 70s, so he had a high oil prices. But when he launched for the second time, there wasn't re-election. He had to wait. When he came in the 90s, the international set was totally different. So he came up with a whole liberal measures that it was attacked by the whole sectors of the society. There is a high structure investigation book called La Rebelión de los Náufragos, the rebellion of the, I don't know how to say náufrago. Let's look for it. By Mirta Rivero, and she exposed the frame in which Venezuela lived at the end of the 90s. The media campaigns, the miscredit, the lack of political support to controversial measures taken by President Carlos Andrés Pérez. I will add a synopsis by this book in the written part of this essay. Also, I will provide a synopsis made for the El Universal Journal. So, February 27 of 1989, a few weeks of Perez take his second administration, and barely few days after announced his abuse program, collective frustration exploded in the event known as the Caracazo, which lack of repression and violent one make a huge scars on the troops of population over his rulers. Then, February 2nd of 1992, took the country by surprise, which was accustomed to decades of quiet institutional democracy, with a failed coup of state. 4 teams in different points of the country had to take key positions. 3 were successful, but a lieutenant colonel named Hugo Chavez Frias was captured in Caracas. His words onto the TV cameras: "To my partners, I asked them to put the weapons down because objectives were not fulfilled by now." These words took over the country. Former President Rafael Caldera rushed to justify this action in a speech onto Venezuelan Senate, using a well-known enmity against President Perez, criticizing this democratic system which he himself was helped to grow. I will put one of these interviews in the words of President Caldera. So, an uneven political alliance from all the fronts was made to attack President Perez, between Caldera, which was founder of the Social Christian Party, the extreme socialist left, even a factor of his own political party, because many of these reforms include transparency, decentralization, federalization, and which their own party they wasn't totally committed with that. So ideology no matters anymore. It's about a political vendetta. Caldera exploits and politically capitalizes this feeling, achieving a political trial to Carlos Andrés Pérez, and afterwards President Pérez renounces, and Caldera in 1994 re-elects as President of Venezuela. One of the first acts of President Caldera was a pardon to Hugo Chavez, which instated his political rights, and this one immediately starts a political campaign. All between President Perez was pursued by all the means and blamed for the all evils of this country. So it came to elections of '98. There was a lot of things what was happening in the years before. Caracas in '87, military coup in '92, political trial and renounce of Perez in '93, the bizarre campaign of '94, the political circus of the pardon of '95. There was a huge confused mood. And with that we can add the Caldera administration, in which it was totally failed. There was a mood, or a bizarre mood on the borders of the country. The petroleum prices, it came to a peak of lows. So there was a lot of anger, of frustration. Everybody was saying that we need a hard leadership here, we need a military coup, we don't want more of the same, all politicals are corrupt. It's remarkable, I would add an interview on this time to President Perez in '98. He was taken by prisons. There is a word which former President Perez says here, that the country wants an avenger. They want to be avenged, and they will not select a ruler or a leader. They will select an avenger for all the political establishment. And he was saying all the sorrows that President Chavez will take to the country, and it was prophetical, those words. I will add this interview as well. So then it came President Chavez. His main agenda was the refundation of the country. He made a whole elaborate things of the first, second, third, and fourth republic, and he called himself the Fifth Republic. Nothing existed until the moment was of use because it was a false democracy, a charade between a pact on couples to keep in power. On the more demagogic example, this new president makes efforts to show his connection with the common man. Several hours speeches in national broadcasting, weekly talk show. He immediately taking the power invokes a new national constituent assembly to make a new constitution. Powers are raised to 3, powers to 5. The parliamentary chambers is now one lone assembly. All institutions are renamed. The flag is changed. The shield is changed. Everything is changed. So change is all over the place. A new optimism mood was. Political opposition from the traditional parties, but no arguments to contrast this revolutionary rhetoric. So it came 2002 oppositor coup. There was a lot of talking about these new measures that President Chavez was making on 2000 and 2001. He wanted to take control of Petróleos de Venezuela, its main revenue company, state company. There was even talking with the entrepreneurs and the private entrepreneurs of the country. So he accused Petróleos de Venezuela to be a black box led by technocrats that doesn't give back the revenues to the government which needed for the social agenda. So several peaceful resistance protests start asking for the renouncement of President Chavez in 2002. Several military defections start to came over with rumors of involvement of the President Chavez with the Colombian guerrilla. There was a lot of mediatical noise about this. And the mood is getting to be warmer until April of 2002. On April 11, there was a huge march of civil society. Some of them start to say, let's go to the president's palace, and there was a bloody confrontation with several deaths and hundreds of wounded. Still, it's not be clear what happened here. Each one of the sides blamed the other of the dead people. A lot of conspiracy theories from each side takes over. But it was a renounce or it was a coup. Chavez is taken out of office by the end of this day. Power is taken over by the president of the private sector. There was a lot of mischievance at this day, April 12. And the military, which support them, withdraw their support. And by this next day, Chavez is taking over charge again. So, these things which is not clear beyond what happened or what trying to do by the organizers of this march, it gave Chavez a lot of tools and pretexts to push the military, take over PDVSA, and take over on all of his adversaries. to push them from all over the state. So we have how President Chavez took over his institutional role, how he took over the democracy culture, and little by little, with international crisis enormous, with PDVSA in his hands. By this time it came the war on Iraq, which raises the prices of the oil. So he had unlimited resources. He had all of the states on his hands. He had media, the state media. He had limited coverage and personal charisma, the legitimacy to feed in the poor, to have a social agenda. Who can be against that? And this is the legitimacy that President Chavez took over to revert the democracy culture on Venezuela. Thank you very much.